Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace to the rest of you. This is Black Heart, signing black. And again, asking you to hit that share button, which is more important than the like or the subscribe, because the message is more important than the messenger. And if it was not so, then I would not record it. You saw the title. I know you're chomping at the bit. You can't wait. You never can. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it, what it is, and then I'm going to show you how you can tell that I'm telling the truth. First off, what it is. The job of the Western woman is to eliminate men from not only being with her, but from being attractive to her. I didn't say attracted. She's trying to take men to whom she's already attracted, that she finds attractive, and then eliminate them from being attractive in her eyes. Outside of that 13% of men that all the women agree to go ahead and compete to get, is the remaining 87% at various levels of hotness in these women's eyes. Now, I want you to understand something. That 13% is not the only percent that's attractive to women. It is the only percent that they agree they will compete to get in the West because they're shallow as shit. That's why. The jealous, Western women are jealous, and they're shallow, and they're childish, and they're immature. I don't say this out of hatred, but the facts are the facts. They say this about themselves if you get close enough to them. But the fact is that, yes, Western women tend to follow this. And one guy, Donovan Sharp, even one time said, hot chicks are useless because they've never had to be useful. Now, I blame the women and the men for that, in all honesty, because we men have made it too easy for women sexually and emotionally. Certainly sexually. And women have made it too difficult for men sexually and emotionally. Certainly sexually. So, the right balance is somewhere in between, and you find that in Islam, but everybody ain't gonna be Muslim. So you just gonna have to do the best you can without that great GPS guidance system we Muslims got. Sorry to brag, but that's why I was convinced that Islam was the right religion and why I became Muslim. I'm not saying what I say because I'm Muslim because I can say what I'm saying. But that's another topic that I've already covered when I said Islam is the solution. What I want you to understand right now is that the job of the Western woman is to eliminate the men from the 87% that are attractive from even being attractive. She's trying to make them unattractive in her eyes because she's too ashamed to go ahead and pick from among that 87% that she finds attractive, but that her friends don't. And if you don't believe me, I don't blame you because women aren't conscious of this, so they can't tell you this anyway. But I'm going to tell you how you can tell. This is all in their subconscious mind. When you get out of the Western culture, height is nice, it's a bonus, but it's not a must. Now, the degrees do change from culture to culture. The whole non-West is not all the same, true. But generally speaking, it's not the same necessity in non-Western women's eyes as it is in Western women's eyes. In other words, if you got other things going for you, you could compensate for height. Because non-Western women realize every man ain't going to be tall. Non-Western women realize that every man ain't going to be wealthy. Non-Western women generally realize that men have to come with strengths and limitations. Men are going to have limitations. They can develop strengths and skills that compensate for the limitations. And that's good because the women know they're limited too. In the West, it's not so much. No, he's got to be wealthy. He's got to be tall. He has to be handsome to other women, too. He has to have other women already competing for him. That's it. And they don't really tolerate anything less than that because, like I said in the last recording, they will embarrass women and shame women who are willing to tolerate less than the perfection. So they compete for the same 13% because that's what they can show off in front of their friends. But in their hearts, it's normal for women to have different tastes in men. It's normal to have different things in men that they can do without and things they can overlook. That's normal. Not every woman can overlook the same limits, but it is normal for women to have limits they can overlook and for these limits to be different for each woman. But that's not what they're allowing each other to do. So what this means is that in order to comply with this pressure, Western women are going to sit up here and take men from the remaining 87% that they find attractive, and they're going to try to make them less attractive. Now, when I was younger, I didn't know why women were behaving with me the way that they were. I get it now, but now I understand, and this explains it. I came to the conclusion at some point that I just wasn't attractive. Not to myself, but that I wasn't attractive to the women who acted like I was not attractive. If a woman acted like she was more attracted to another man than she was to me, I took the position that she actually was. Later on, I came to realize that there were times they really did want these other guys more, and there were times they really wanted me more. But they were acting the same way because what? Their job is to eliminate men from the other 87%. And as a man of my phenotype in the southeastern United States growing up in the 90s, I was not in that 13%. I was in the remaining 87%, probably still the top 70%, but not in that top 13%, no. Definitely not. So, now, I mean, I may have been in the top, I said top 70%. I should have said the top 30%. I may have still, but I wasn't in the top 13. That was not the case. So that being said, unfortunately what this meant was that they were going to try to eliminate me when they did find me attractive by doing stupid, childish, silly things that I couldn't understand, but they were really just designed to try to convince themselves that I was less attractive. Now I understand. I want to see what you look like with this wig on. Man, get that damn wig away from me. Why the hell would I put that on? And then they come try to put the wig on anyway, and they reach for a camera. Get this damn wig off me. And they were doing it like they were playing, but I couldn't understand why that was even funny, especially if she was close to my age. Why would you be 16 and 17 and think this is funny? Why would you act like a child anyway? If I had the same sense of humor, you call me a child. So I didn't fully understand it then, but now I get it, and a lot of us get it. But let me show you the evidence that you can tell. Height is more important in the Western world, right? So why do Western women wear heels more than women in non-Western countries? I mean, high heels exist everywhere. I'm not saying they don't, but why is it that in more Western countries, they wear them more often, especially when they go out? Why is that? They're trying to further eliminate more men based on height. That's counterintuitive for women. You would think that if height is so important, they wouldn't compete with men in height, but they do. If wealth is so important in the Western woman's mind, more so than it is in the Eastern woman's mind or the non-Western woman's mind, then why the hell is it that they compete with men for income? Not just jobs, people, income. And flaunt it in men's faces when they earn money, because they're trying to further eliminate men based on income. Why is it that they would take physical strength? That's very important, especially to Western women. Why would they take something like physical strength and then turn around and try to compete with men in physical strength? I want to box this man over here. You want to box with a man? Okay, I mean, I've seen women do that. There are women in, some of the women in the armed forces like to join the boxing teams for these different armed forces where they box against each other. A naval versus an army boxer, that type thing. Some of these women want to join and they want to box against men. Why? She knows damn well that she's trying to eliminate these men on the basis of physical strength. That's what it is. She's trying to further eliminate men based on that, make them less attractive. Every man she gets in that ring and she wins against, even if he let her win because she's a woman, she's going to say is unattractive because she overpowered him. You're not dealing with a process of mate selection. You are dealing with a mate selection or process of elimination when you're dealing with Western women, and you need to understand that. This is not a situation in which romance and mate selection have become like war. This is a process of war with the facade of romantic mate selection on the part of women. You're not at war with them, but they're at war with you. They're at war to eliminate you, even when as a matter of fact, especially when they like you. If you're not in that 13% that they can all agree they will compete they will compete against each other to take from. No. So this means that you may be, in fact, attractive to women that you don't know to whom you are attractive. However, they're still going to try to eliminate you from being attractive in their minds, because they would much rather feel better about competing for that same 13% by saying, well, that's all I like anyway. They're trying to reshape their natural mind into the hive mind that will only compete for that same 13% and eliminate all the other 87. Now, I don't know how successful they are at it, but I know they warp their minds in the process. There got to be consequences to any type of fuckery, and that is a type of fuckery. The consequences, as Mr. Anderson said, at times may have to include putting your hands on a woman, but I only advocate that in self-defense or to protect somebody else when women get violent. I don't advocate putting your hands on a woman who's not being violent, not pointing a weapon, not threatening violence. In that case, absolutely not. That, you only use violence for an emergency and not a necessity. Other than that, I don't advocate that. But here's why. Women, before you say, oh, okay, well, at least he has a decency to not advocate hitting women. I'm not decent, woman. I'm an asshole. I'm still a jerk. I'm a jerk for your benefit and for men's benefit, but I'm still a jerk. That's not why. It's not out of a sense of decency per se, but it is out of a sense of something else. I found something more effective. When women get out of pocket, but they're not being violent and threatening violence, you don't beat a woman with your fist. You beat her with another wife. You beat her with other women, mostly another wife. That's how you beat them. And that's real. You don't have to sit up here and tell her that my other wife don't do that. All you got to do is say, all right, bye, and you leave and go to your other wife's house and spend time with her. She calls you up. Why are you calling me when I'm at my other wife's house? Why are you over there? You haven't been back for my half of the week. Yeah, well, look how you acted last time. I mean, granted, yeah, I'm going to treat all of you. I'm going to treat you both equally, sure. But you got to understand, this is a case where you treated me differently from how she treats me. That's why I'm over here. I'm welcome over here. I don't think I'm welcome over there. By the way, when the next month's rent comes, you got that, because that ain't my place no more. I ain't going back. You leave? Yep, I am. Now, at this point, she knows, even if she don't hate the other wife, the fact is she knows she done lost you to another woman. And women need to have that hanging over. Western women, more so than non-Western women, in countries where polygyny might be legal, Western women need to have this hanging over their heads, because it's like Mr. Anderson said, ain't no consequences, so we need to introduce them. And one of them is legalized polygyny and no legalization of polyandry. No, women can't be allowed to legally have more than one husband. Yes, men have to be legally allowed to have more than one wife. It's not going to work if you do it up more than 4 anyway. Some people one time said, look, Blackheart, if you legalize polygyny in the West, all that's going to do is intensify women's competition. They're going to go from competing for the top 13% to competing for the top 5%. Well, that might happen for a few years, yeah, maybe. But the thing is, when you legalize polygyny, then the women will be able to discuss their competition more openly, and they will come to realize and compare notes. These are the advantages and these are the disadvantages. You can compete for those top 5% of men in, as far as earnings go, but you got to understand that those men, you're going to be sharing them, period. Now you can legally marry these dudes, but you still can't have them. Even then, if you put a cap on it like 4, then that cuts down, that limits the competition. Now the women have to think about 2 things. Number one, does this top earner man over here have a slot available? Because he's limited to 4. Also, if he has a slot available, am I ever going to have time with him? No, not really. You're not. Okay, well, I could get this top earner, but hey, look, this is women's lib. This is post-feminism. You got your own money. You don't have to go for the top earner. You can go for a guy that's not a bum, and you got, you only have to share him with either one other woman or no other women. And this is, at this point, women will have it said to them, pointed out to their conscious mind, these are your options, and they'll choose differently. So I don't think that this is actually going to cause the flux that we think it would cause. If it does cause that flux, guess what's going to happen? Western men leave and go to non-Western women, which is the consequence we need to introduce anyway. That's the real consequence we need to introduce. That's more important than beating a bitch, and it's more effective than beating her up or even so much as allowing them to compete for the top 5% of men. No, you see, the real consequence is you look these Western women as a group, you look them in the face, and you say to them, you don't have a chance. You don't stand a chance anyway. Not with me. I'm going over here and I'm going to get one of these non-Western women. Because if I provide, she will abide. And I may not have to marry two of them for one of them to behave. It may not be necessary. I mean, it's already legal here, so it's probably not going to be necessary anyway. But you all are too far gone. The legalization of it ain't going to help you out. And the fact that it's illegal ain't helping you out. So neither one's going to help you out. You're too far gone. You're an idiot. You've ruined yourself. You've warped your own minds. So your options are, because you ain't going to get us no more. So your options are you go get a non-Western man and see how much of that crap he's going to tolerate. Or you stay by yourself. That's the real consequence we need to start introducing, so that my last two recordings one day will be a relic of the past and not a current reality for future generations that could be listening. I hope that this has been a benefit. Blackheart signing, blackout. Assalamu alaikum.